A newly proposed law regarding reptile regulations is concerning our local sanctuary, as the Louisiana Dept. of Wildlife and Fisheries is considering making changes to their reptile regulations. Steve's Snaketuary is speaking out about the proposed changes.
Well, Steve has been serving the Shreveport-Bossier community for more than 20 years. His business aims to eliminate fear through education while rescuing animals. Steve says the proposed changes are more restrictive and will essentially shut his business down.
I hope that these changes don't go through because it's going to severely hinder not just me and my business, but the thousands of people that we get to talk to every year. We want to continue what we do of, going out to the schools, doing the homeschool groups, going out to the libraries to educate people on all the snakes, reptiles, and how awesome and beneficial they can be. It's going to affect the whole state of Louisiana if these changes go through. So there's several herpetologists across the state that are trying to come together to stop this from going into effect.
He and the U.S. Association of Snake Keepers encourage the community to send letters opposing the change to the Dept. of Wildlife and Fisheries.
And now, your Fox First forecast with meteorologist Todd Warren.
Well, today an abundant supply of sunshine for most of the day resulted in temperatures that actually warmed pretty close to normal. 57 in Shreveport this afternoon, 61 in Natchitoches, 54 degrees was the high temperature in Texarkana. Out there right now, we have seen temperatures fall into the 30s and 40s, 36 in Minden, 43 in Shreveport, 40 degrees, the current temperature in Texarkana. As we go through the nighttime hours tonight, we'll be watching visibility numbers very closely. Still no issues across the Arklatex. Visibility pretty much normal under a clear sky, but some patchy fog will be possible. And as temperatures later tonight dip close to freezing, that fog could become freezing fog. But right now it does look to be rather scattered if it does form. Temperature in Shreveport will begin tomorrow morning right around 33. We'll see lots of sunshine for the vast majority of the day tomorrow with temperatures back up to normal in the mid to upper 50s. More rain returns to the area Friday and again Monday, and Monday will be followed by a very windy day Tuesday. Details on all that in your forecast coming up.
All right. Thank you, Todd. Bossier detectives need help identifying two burglary suspects. The suspects were caught on camera on December 22nd at a SWEPCO facility on Highway 157 in plain dealing. Several Honda generators and a trailer loaded with a black and tan side-by-side vehicle were stolen.
Trailer was ultimately found abandoned down the road. The vehicles and the generators have not been found. If you have any information on the suspects or the vehicle you saw, please contact the Bossier Sheriff's Office. Shreveport firefighters responded to a fire at an apartment complex this morning. It was reported just after 8 a.m. at the Mark Apartments on West Burt Coons Industrial Loop. As many as 18 units reported to that scene.
Crews from SWEPCO, Centerpoint Energy, and Shreveport Police responded. No word yet on what caused the fire. It's an ongoing investigation. The city of Natchitoches has awarded a little more than $200,000 in grant money to remove blighted structures throughout the city. The money comes from the Office of Community Development. Well,
14 properties have been identified by the city for blight removal. City says this will help property values as well as tax revenue. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson led dozens of Republican members of Congress to Eagle Pass, Texas today. They're calling on Congress to pass hardline border security measures. As Ryan Chandler reports, it's a deeply political and human issue that is throwing tiny Texas communities into the national spotlight.
It was a show of force by House Republicans in Eagle Pass today to mark Mike Johnson's first public trip as Speaker. They're turning the pressure up on President Biden as they move to make the border the top issue of 2024.
Every state in America is now a border state, and we've seen that on vivid display today.
Eagle Pass, now the epicenter of an issue dominating the nation and Congress.
America is at a breaking point with record levels of illegal immigration, and today we got a first-hand look at the damage and the chaos the border catastrophe is causing in all of our communities.
Speaker Johnson rallying his caucus behind stricter immigration policies like Trump's Remain in Mexico. Dozens of Republicans from across the country met with Texas law enforcement steps from the Rio Grande, with the White House top of mind.
It's a disaster of the president's own design.
Not 100 feet behind Speaker Johnson's presser, a migrant family walks to America. A striking contrast between the political and the personal impacts of this crisis.
The dehumanization of these people is what's so abhorrent to us.
Some residents of Eagle Pass calling for compassion denouncing the visit.
I live here, I was born here, and I fight here. And right now we're literally fighting against Abbott. We want them gone.
The focus, though, will certainly not go anywhere soon, as Republicans point to the border to take the White House this November.
If President Biden wants a supplemental spending bill focused on national security, it better begin by defending America's national security.
Well, Arkansas joins a new program to help families fighting food insecurity. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders says summer EBT provides $120 per child during the summer months.
School-age children who receive SNAP benefits and those who receive free and reduced meals at school will automatically qualify. Shreveport's Parks and Rec Department says the beginning of the 2024 year is the time for students to recharge and to refill. SPAR partnered with the United Way of Northwest Louisiana to host a school supply drive to provide local students with essential tools like notebooks, pens, pencils, and more.
All SPAR community centers will collect donations starting next Monday, January 8th through the end of the month. SPAR says your contributions can make a significant impact on a child's educational journey. Well, coming up, tourists flock to the city of canals, but overcrowding is leading to new limits in Venice.
And after serving 2 terms as governor, John Bell Edwards delivers his farewell address, speaking about his accomplishments and his vision for Louisiana's future.
Plus, how you can train like an Olympian. We meet the Shreveport team behind the design to help you get in shape while using your phone. Our fitness expert brings us a story at 9:30.
Your Weather Authority forecast with meteorologist Todd Warren.
Well, what was left of the rain last night ended early this morning, and of course today we ended with lots of sunshine. Here's a time lapse from the Bear Creek Smokehouse camera there in downtown Marshall, showing you the crystal clear sky at sunset this evening. And with the clear sky, not much wind, if any, and basically temperatures dipping down close to freezing. It's possible after last night's rain we could have a few areas of fog that will develop across the region. As right now we're in between disturbances. We have one which is moving away. We have the second disturbance, which is now situated here across the Intermountain West. This is going to slide its way towards the east, giving us some rain Friday. But tonight will be the main concern will be the possibility for some scattered areas of patchy fog. And you can see the areas of red is where visibilities could dip well below a mile. And if you encounter some of this, just keep in mind temperatures tomorrow morning will be near or below freezing. So it's possible the moisture that makes up this fog could freeze on contact in some exposed surfaces, including bridges and overpasses. So just keep that in mind if you're traveling early tomorrow morning in some fog. There could be some slick spots on the area bridges, and by the time we get to the middle part of the morning, that fog will very quickly burn off. If it does indeed develop, Futurecast doesn't show anything as far as fog tonight, as we will see a clear sky across the area. Tomorrow, I expect to see lots of sunshine with temperatures that once again will be pretty close to normal. We'll see the clouds rapidly increase across the area late tomorrow night, with rain moving in during the early morning hours on Friday. This rain will basically move across the area during the morning hours Friday, and we'll be left with lots of clouds Friday afternoon and Friday evening across the area. Rainfall potential right now looks like we'll be heaviest over the southeast half of the Arklatex, where 1 inch to 1.5 inches will be possible. Elsewhere, amounts basically in the range of 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And we're not looking at anything as far as severe weather with this rain on the way for Friday. Again, here's the disturbance which is on the way for Friday. Again, giving us the rain. We have another disturbance which will give us more widespread rain and maybe even a few thunderstorms Monday as the main upper level low moves just to our north. Very windy on Tuesday, and then we'll kind of quiet down for a few days as we go through the middle part of next week with another slight chance of rain late next week. Main thing is going to be the wind on Tuesday here after the chance for a few thunderstorms Monday with not much as far as severe weather. And you can see the wind gusts which we could experience Tuesday in excess of 30 miles per hour. A few isolated 40-mile-per-hour gusts will be possible, as we'll see sustained winds of 20 to 25 miles per hour during the day on Tuesday. One of the windiest days that we've seen in quite some time. Meantime, tonight, again, a few areas of fog will be possible, possibly resulting in a few slick spots on the bridges. 33 for the low tonight in Shreveport, 30 in Marshall, 29 degrees for the low temperature in Texarkana. Tomorrow, expect lots of sunshine. It will not be as cool. Highs will be in the upper 50s to low 60s south, basically low to middle 50s across the northern half of the area with that mostly sunny sky. Again, rain on the way Friday, Monday, but temperatures not really that unusual. I'll have the details in your 10-day forecast coming up in 30 seconds. Again, temperatures tomorrow pretty close to normal. We will see temperatures that will be cooler Friday with the clouds and rain around. Only 46 for the high, back to the low 60s Sunday. Rain, maybe a little bit of thunder for Monday. Very windy Tuesday. That wind keeping temperatures down a bit Tuesday, but a nice warm up late next week. Back to the low to middle 60s as the chance of rain will return for next Friday and Saturday. Dan and Alex.
Right. Thank you, Todd. In Vox World, Japanese rescue workers continue to look for earthquake survivors as many huddle for warmth and food. Disaster responders comb through flattened homes in the peninsula town of Suza today.
7.6 magnitude earthquake rattled Japan New Year's Day, killing 62 people. Dozens are believed to be trapped under collapsed buildings, and at least 22 of the known dead are in Suzu. Rescues are racing against time as officials say survival prospects greatly diminish after 3 days. Well, Venice is looking to reduce overcrowding due to tourism. Good luck with that. The Italian city plans to put big limits on groups and loud noises starting in June. Tourist groups will be limited to 25 people. That's about half the size of regular touring buses.
Yeah, Dan, one of the most populated tourist attractions of the world, trying to limit tourism. Well, loudspeakers will also be banned because the city says they create disturbances and confusion. Venice is also trying to regulate crowds through a new day tripper fee of about $5.45 US on peak days between April and July. Well, still to come, how proteins on your fingers could determine if you have cancer.
And there are updated changes to the FAFSA form that families need to know about. We will explain next in Fox America.
You're watching Fox 33 News First at 9.
Tonight in Fox America, after several delays, the new federal student loan application is out, at least on a limited basis.
Families will be happy to know the form now has significantly fewer questions, but it also has some new qualifications that could impact student eligibility. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor has more from Washington.
It's one of the most dreaded parts of the college experience, filling out the federal student loan application, or FAFSA.
In terms of getting into college and paying for college, this is just one more area of hassle and uncertainty and anxiety.
But for the first time since the 1980s, the Department of Education has rolled out an updated FAFSA form, intended to make it simpler to estimate how much a family can afford for tuition.
The personal circumstances section, where you plead poverty, now has only 18 questions, which was reduced from 100.
It might be simpler, but only if you can access it. As part of its soft launch, the website is only available for periods at a time. One New York Times columnist compared it to using Ticketmaster for Beyonce tickets.
Keep checking at studentaid.gov. Maybe try at odd hours.
The new platform also comes with new rules. More low and moderate income students will qualify for federal grants, while wealthier families may get less. FAFSA also got rid of what's known as the sibling discount, so families won't automatically get more aid if they have more than one child in college.
They're going to take it away from people that really need it.
On the other side, millions of borrowers are still guessing if they'll have to pay off their student loans or if they'll be forgiven. Last year, the Supreme Court struck down President Biden's plan to forgive $10,000 in debt for at least 40 million Americans. Those having trouble accessing the FAFSA website are encouraged to wait until it's up and running full-time later this month. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Coming up next, a new test could replace mammograms with fingerprints.
And the debate over how to build a green economy of the future focused on sustainable energy solutions. It's next.
You're watching Fox 33 News First at 9.
In tonight's Fox Science Report, a new non-invasive screening could help diagnose breast cancer, potentially saving many lives. It is a simple fingerprint test that is examining for certain proteins.
Researchers at Sheffield Hallam University in England say fingerprints contain sweat, which is then tested using a system called mass spectrometry, which identifies molecular makeup.
By having the patient swiping their fingertip on the metal support, we effectively transferring a very thin layer of sweat from their fingertips directly into the metal support. And sweat contains a lot of different molecules, but what we're interested in is proteins.
Researchers hope the simple, non-invasive fingerprint test could be the first step in diagnosing breast cancer to avoid the more invasive mammograms and breast biopsies.
Medical technology is amazing. Fox Tech now, as the fight continues against global warming, some critics of government mandates say innovation, not regulation, is the right way to build a green economy.
Fox's Eben Brown has more on this edition of our Fox on Tech series.
Net zero, it can be attainable, but it needs to be balanced with the trade-offs that we're willing to make.
At a UN climate conference last month, more than 190 countries approved a historic agreement that will move the world away from the use of fossil fuels. But critics say it is a move in the wrong direction, and government mandates to lower emissions are a short-term fix at best. C3 Solutions is a pro-climate conservative coalition. Their new report makes the case that free economies equal clean economies.
If you have a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, that leads to investment in all types of environmentally friendly technologies that consumers actually want.
And green technology is a big part of that. Their report highlights the link between economic freedom and higher standards of sanitation, pollution control, and clean air. And investment in technology is essential for developing sustainable energy solutions.
That could be wind, solar, but it could also be small modular reactors. I think natural gas is a critical part of the solution. There's a lot of opportunity there.
In other words, C3 claims we can reduce carbon emissions without reducing fossil fuels if the focus remains on innovation and not regulation.
I'm encouraged by the amount of innovation that we've seen in the energy space, the clean energy space, in different types of environmental solutions.
The worldwide renewable energy market was worth about $1 trillion last year. They expect that to double by 2030. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
All right, well, after the break, Mardi Gras is right around the corner, which means king cake season is here. How Louisiana bakeries are getting ready.
And an old piece of ceramic art is found right before being smashed to bits, and it could be worth a small fortune.
You're watching Fox 33 News First at 9 with Alexandra Meacham, your weather authority Chief Meteorologist Todd Warren, and Tim Owens with sports.
Welcome back. Governor John Bel Edwards gave his farewell address in his hometown of Amite.
Two-term Democrat signs off in less than a week as Jeff Landry is set to take office. Capitol reporter Shannon Heck brings us details of Edwards' goodbye speech.
A breeze of hope is still blowing.
Governor John Bel Edwards was the long-shot candidate 8 years ago. Starting as a relatively unknown state representative, he beat the odds in 2015 and squeaked through in 2019, and has remained the only Democrat governor in the Deep South.
Not many people believed that I could win. But choosing the path was never about power. It was never about proving a point. It wasn't about politics. Truthfully, it wasn't even about me. It was about people.
Addressing the crowd of his family, friends, and neighbors, he looked back on everything Louisiana's had to overcome during his tenure. Some have even dubbed him the crisis governor after all the natural disasters, unrest, and the pandemic met him at the door.
The sugar cane still grows. The Red River still flows. Tourists still flock to Mardi Gras. The Tangipahoa pear strawberries are still the best in the world. The good times still roll.
He didn't shy from putting on display his accomplishments in office. From budget surpluses he put towards education and infrastructure, to criminal justice reform, to Medicaid expansion bringing health care to millions.
Every single thing we've done in contrast to what's happening across the country and certainly in Washington, D.C., has been on a bipartisan basis.
His wife and close colleagues sent him off with a kind word. And while the leadership in Louisiana is going to see a stark change, ushering in a much more conservative approach with a supermajority Republican legislature and Jeff Landry at the helm, Edwards is optimistic for the future.
We leave Louisiana much better than we found it 8 years ago and stronger than ever in many, many respects. I leave the governor's office as optimistic as I have ever been about our future.
Edwards officially signs off on the morning of January 8th. For your local election headquarters, I'm Shannon Hecht.
And now, your Fox First forecast with meteorologist Todd Warren.
Well, temperatures cooling off a bit this evening under a clear sky across the Ark-La-Tex. Still no signs of fog in our area. As you can see, the quiet conditions all across the Ark-La-Tex. 43 in Shreveport, it's 40 in Texarkana, down to 37 in Marshall, and 41 degrees right now, the current temperature in DeKalb. And we could be looking at areas of fog tomorrow morning, and with temperatures at or below freezing, could result in a few slick spots on the bridges. You can see Shreveport right around 32, 33. Lows elsewhere will be in the upper 20s to lower 30s. With sunshine returning tomorrow, we'll see another nice warm up, back pretty close to normal, with highs north in the low to middle 50s, highs across East Texas and Northwest Louisiana, basically in the upper 50s to low 60s. Another round of rain moves across the area Friday morning. Details on how much rain and a rainy and windy start to next week. That's all in your forecast coming up.
That does not sound good. Thank you, Todd. A local restaurant will be closing its doors. Well-Fed Louisiana has served up vegan and gluten-free meals to the Shreveport-Bossier community for the past 7 years now.
Business transition from serving at local farmers markets to a brick and mortar on Egan Street. Owners thank the community for their support over the years. Doors will officially close on March 2nd.
Be sad to see them go. They had some good food there. So.
Never ate there.
Really, it was healthy. It was really nice too.
Maybe that's why I never ate there.
Well, I know somebody else who's going to really like Well-Fed is our fitness expert.
That's right, yes.
Alicia Gatewood.